We are very happy to welcome Malcom. So he is the Ambassador Triple Diamond Executive in ASEA and one of the top global global ASEA leader, and he always give us inspiration to thousands and thousands of people, inclusive all the top leader, right? And proven success strategy. Today, we are going to listen to Malcom. He's going to share with us what is the ASEA opportunity and the business way to have to rank up and also to plan your business, right? So let's welcome Malcom by turn on your camera and say hi if you can. Hey.
Hi, Malcom.
Hi,
Hi,
Malcom.
Malcom.
Good morning.
Nice seeing
Good
you.
morning.
Good morning,
Nice to see
Malcom.
you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I guess
Thank
it's
you.
good afternoon. Good evening for you.
Good evening.
Good evening your time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for having us here together with us. So yeah, pass the mic to
Pleasure.
you. Thank you, Malcom.
My pleasure. Good morning, BK. Good afternoon. Good evening, BK. So can I just ask, does everybody on the call speak English?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm cognizant that maybe it's not your first language. I'm going to try and talk a little bit slowly because normally I talk really fast.
Yes.
So I'll try and talk a little bit more slowly so that you can hopefully keep up, because I do tend to, once I get going, I tend to talk faster and faster. So I'm going to try and pace it so that you can understand. So great to be with you, and thank you to BK and Melissa for the invitation to come and share with you this morning. What I thought I would do is just start off and share a little bit about my journey just prior to ASEA. I won't go too far back because it goes way back into last century, so I'm not going to go too far back. Otherwise, we'll be here for days. But I just want to give you a little bit of a backdrop as to where I was at financially, I guess emotionally, to a certain extent, spiritually, when I started with ASEA. So my journey, just a few years before joining ASEA, was I had lost everything. So I had been a millionaire, probably a multi-millionaire, and through a series of poor decisions that was not to do with networking, more to do with some of my investments, notably property investments. I invested exactly the right place at exactly the wrong time. And this was the crash of 2008, 2009. Some of you might be young enough to remember that. And it took me out of play. So I went from having a lot of property, a lot of assets that were leveraged, to losing absolutely everything. And I mean everything. I had literally nothing left.
Mm.
And so I lost my home. I lost my beautiful black Porsche. I lost everything, all the investment properties I had, all the firewalls that I had built that I relied on that would carry me through should any eventuality like this happen. They all went because I had too much debt because of a property development that I was doing. So I had a number of years that I was really struggling financially. And of course, when a man especially goes through that, it takes a toll on his mental state. My mindset was not good. I felt probably like a loser. I really felt my energy was low, my vibration was low. It was a very tough season that seemed to go on for years and years and years. And I had to go back to doing kind of menial jobs just to try and exist, to try and make enough money to support my sons. I still have co-parent 4 boys, although they're not so little anymore. My oldest is, well, of my 4 sons is nearly just about turned 21, 20. But back then they were younger, and they wanted me to feed them. They, can you believe it? They wanted to have breakfast and lunch and dinner, and so they relied on their dad to be able to do that. So it was a really hard season, and then in 2014, late 2014. I was invited by Danny Doyle to go and look at the ASEA opportunity and to fly over to America with Danny to go and meet the owner of the company, or the owners of the company, where at that time I had the privilege of meeting the late Verdis Norton and Tyler Norton, of course, and also a number of the key leaders. I won't go through all of that because it takes a little while to cover that whole story. Suffice to say, I was super impressed with the integrity of the founders, of the owners of the company. So whilst personally my headspace was not in the right place to engage with ASEA at that time from a business point of view, so my head was saying no, but my heart was saying, I want to be in business with Verdis Norton. He was such a compelling human being, one of the finest human beings that I've ever met in my lifetime. So my heart was saying, I want to do business with this man. I want to do business with this company. But at that stage, I was already involved with another business. And I actually went to look at the technology because I had a skin problem, an autoimmune problem called psoriasis. And so my reason for going in the first instance was not so much for the business, but was more to see whether this could help me with my skin issue. And of course, those of you that know Danny Doyle's story, he was there very much because he had a very serious illness. Mine wasn't life-threatening, Danny's was. So Danny was there for his health. Danny was there because he wanted to find a way to be able to, survive, to live. If you haven't heard Danny's story, it's available on YouTube, and it's a very compelling testimonial. So we went, this was like October, November. It was around Halloween. So it must have been kind of late October 2014. And heard a lot of information, a lot of the science kind of went over my head. I'm not from a science background, but I want to share two sentences or statements that I remember from that meeting that were very impactful on me at the time and also on Danny. One of them was made by, if you maybe don't know, a gentleman called Dr. Gary Samuelson. And Dr. Gary Samuelson was the atomic medical physicist who was instrumental in stabilizing this technology. So the technology they'd been trying to stabilize this for, I think, like 15, 16 years. And it was Dr. Gary Samuelson who eventually led the team that managed to stabilize this technology. Well, when we were in the boardroom of the ASEA offices at that stage, we were sitting down. There was about 40 people in the room. Sitting on my left-hand side was Danny Doyle, and sitting on my right-hand side was this gentleman who I didn't know. And I introduced myself to him, and I said, "Hi, my name's Malcom Sword. I'm from Brisbane, Australia." And he said, "Very nice to meet you." He said, "My name's Dr. Gary Samuelson, and I'm from Salt Lake City here in Utah." And so I didn't really connect the dots. I really didn't know who he was. I found out later that, how significant he was. Lovely human being, very modest man. And he stood up, and one of the sentences he said was, if people really understood this technology, if they really knew what this technology was, he said, and in my opinion, the redox technology is as significant a breakthrough as penicillin. And when I first heard that statement, because I knew nothing about the technology, I wasn't from a medical background, but when he first said that, I remember my brain, and I didn't say anything out loud, but my brain was ticking over, and I'm thinking, that's a really big statement. That's a really big call. And my first inclination was to think, that sounds a little bit like BS to me. I won't explain what BS means. It sounds to me like that's a load of rubbish. And then my brain kicked over again, and it kind of thought, well, hang on. This man has addressed himself as an atomic medical physicist, Mal, what are your qualifications? What are your medical qualifications? What are your qualifications in the area of science? And then my brain said, well, I have absolutely no qualifications at all. So then my brain kicked in again, and I kind of thought, well, hang on. What if what he just said is true? What if that's true? What if that statement he made is true? And I have learned since the 9.5 years now since I've been with ASEA, that statement was very much true, very much accurate. In my 9.5 years, and I'm not from a medical background, I've made that clear to people, but in 9.5 years, I have seen miracle on miracle on miracle on miracle on miracle because of this product, because of this technology. The second comment that was made, and these men, if you know Dr. Gary Samuelson, and if you know anything about Verdis Norton, they're not prone to misspeak themselves. They're not the kind of men or human beings to exaggerate or to misspeak themselves. And towards the closing part of the meeting, Verdis Norton stood up and he said, if people really understood this technology, we would be bigger than Apple. And at some point, I still believe that that's going to happen, that when people really understand this technology, when it becomes mainstream, of course, that's what we do. We have an inclination. Our role is to move this to mainstream. It takes explanation. A lot of people misunderstand the product, and a lot of people misunderstand the methodology in which we take it to the market through network marketing. They kind of trip up on that, which is a shame. But at some point, we will become mainstream, and at some point, the world will know all about redox signaling molecules. So we came away from that meeting. Danny was all over the product. It took me a while. I went back to Australia. I was involved, as I mentioned, in another business. But during the following year, 2015, my financial situation, which was already bad, went from bad to worse. And then after it went worse, it got even worse. It was almost like I was needing to go bankrupt for a second time. So 2015 was another really not good year for Malcom Sword. Towards the end of that year, latter part of that year, in fact, 2015, I had so little funds that I couldn't even afford Christmas presents for my 4 boys. That's how financially impaired that I was. But it was around that time, in fact, it was early December 2015, when Danny Doyle called me and said, Mal, I'm going to be in Byron Bay. I was living in Brisbane. Danny was in Sydney, but he was holidaying in Byron Bay, which is about an hour and a half's drive away from Brisbane. And I had not seen Danny. So this is December now, 2015. I had not seen Danny face to face since the year before, when we were in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah, which was the end of October 2014. And he called me and he said, come down and meet me. He said, come down and see me in Byron Bay. And I was kind of lost. I really didn't know where I was going to go, what I was going to do. My finances were in a mess again, and I was kind of just really lost. So anyway, I decided to go and meet him as a friend. I hadn't seen him for a year. I decided to go and meet him. And the year before, when we were in Salt Lake City, if you've ever seen photos of the before and after photos of Danny, when I last saw him in 2014, he looked shocking. His eyes were sunk, his face, his skin was gray. He looked really ill. He'd had lots of chemotherapy, lots of radiation, and he looked really, really unwell. If you looked at him, you'd see that he was just an unwell man. And when I walked into it was the Byron Bay pub where we decided to meet. And I walked into the pub. He was sitting at a table close to the back of the pub. And as soon as I walked towards him, I could not believe what I was looking at. His face was glowing. He looked like 30 years younger. His skin was like incredible. His whole demeanor, his color in his face, in his eyes, was completely better than normal. He just looked incredible. And I sat down with him and I said, are you well? Are you clear of the 2 issues the 2 big medical challenges that you'd had? And he said, Mal, I'm clear. I'm completely clean. He'd had the blood work to prove, and he showed me papers, which I started reading. A lot of it was medical jargon, but I read enough from the papers that he showed me that his condition was completely clear. Well, the next thing he did was he said, have a look at this. And he opened his back office. Now, I want to just share with you as well that in 2015, Australia was an unopened market. It was still pre-launch. It was still a pre-launch market. And so to get the redox there, every box that they shipped was costing an extra $50 to ship. So predominantly in 2015, when Danny had started to build his ASEA business, he was building it on the Renew 28. He was building it on the gel because it was easier to ship. It was more effective, more cost effective to ship in. So he predominantly built his organizations, his early business on the Renew 28. So he opened his laptop and he showed me his income, which would have been for the month of, I guess, October or November 2015. And in Australian dollars, it was $14,000 that it had showed for the month. He showed me the numbers. Of course, it's weekly, but the aggregate for the month before was $14,000 in Australian dollars. And I looked at him, and I'm experienced in the network marketing business. I've been in the industry a long time. And I remember looking at that figure, and I looked at him and I said, Danny, that can't happen. I said, you can't make that much money from a business in pre-launch in that period of time. I said, that just doesn't happen. And he said, well, let me show you the month before, and let me show you the month before, and let me show you the month before and the month before. So I watched this ascendancy of his income from a business that was still in pre-launch. And I'm looking at these numbers, like $14,000 for me at that time. It might have been looking at somebody that was like earning $200,000 or $300,000 today. I could not believe it, given I was trying to exist on a measly $2,000 or $3,000 a month. And here he was after almost 12 months in pre-launch, earning that kind of money from the business. So of course my ears pricked up. You know, I was like, oh, wow, is this real? What have you been able to accomplish? And he said to me, he said, Mel, we are about to open in February of 2016. We're about to launch the company into Australia, to open the company, albeit NFR, which means not for retail. So whilst we could still get the product, we had to bring people on as associates. We couldn't retail it. But the business was about to launch properly in February 2016, late February 2016. And I made a decision. I said, okay, I'm going to be at that event and I'm going to take 10 people with me to that event. Interestingly, of the 10 people that I took in February 2016, of the 10 that were there, I think 4, maybe 5 are still on the product. One is now a triple diamond, and one is a diamond that probably next year will go to double, triple, maybe even ambassador diamond from that very first meeting. And of course, at that very first meeting, Verdis Norton was there. So I was able to introduce myself once again to Verdis. And I at that point, I knew that this was what I wanted to do. This was a business that I wanted to involve myself with. Interestingly, at that same event, remember, Danny Doyle had started in October 2014. At that event in February 2016, Danny Doyle was recognized as a new diamond at that event. And I was just like, wow, how long has this been going on for? And so I was excited about the opportunity to start with ASEA, although I want to add that where I was personally, emotionally, I was at a very low time in my life. So I knew that the biggest problem that I had in being able to scale my ASEA business was me. I knew that the problem was me. And it was to do with my self-image, my belief in myself, where I was, because I'd lost everything. So I wasn't exactly feeling confident. I was 60 years of age, 60 or 61 years of age. So, you know, my brain was saying, maybe you're too old. Maybe it's too late for you. Maybe you won't be able to come back again after, you know, being at this age and having lost everything. So it was a real challenge. I've had people since that time come to me and say to me, you know, we knew you'd come back. We knew it was all right for you. We knew that you would be okay. And I said, well, that's not really fair, because you don't understand where I was emotionally at that time. you know, I was at such a low ebb. I was at such a low point. I really questioned myself, and I realized this is where I had to do all the work. The work to build a business was in me. I had to rebuild me. I started listening to audible books. When I had a little bit of money, I started getting help. I started getting coaches. I looked to find coaches. I went to see kinesiologists. I went to see Dr. Wayne Pickstone. I did some Psych K with work with him. So I did everything to try and build me, because I knew that my self-image was a problem. I knew that my belief system was a problem. You know, I could speak the positive, I could speak that, but deep down underneath that, my self-image was not in alignment. And it's an issue for a lot of people when their self-talk and their self-image is not congruent. There's a problem. So you can speak all you want, but if your core belief is that you won't win, that it's too difficult, or who thinks I can come back at my age, it becomes a real problem. So I knew I had to try and get into my subconscious a belief system that had gone. You know, my belief in me, which I'd once had years and years before, I knew I needed to gain that. So my journey began. It was kind of wobbly. I was not fast. I was slow. Really, given that I was inexperienced in the business, I was slow to start. And I reached bronze, I think, in 3 months, 4 months. And some people say that's quick, but, you know, I was working super, super hard. And I went silver, I think, after about 4 months, maybe 5 months. And at that time, I was able then to move full-time into the business, because my commitments, my finances, I pruned everything back. So I didn't need a lot of money to be able to go full time. And that was one of my early goals, was to be able to go full time as quickly as I could. One of the things I want to address, you know, in 2016, the way that I was building the business was kind of in a confused way, I suppose. So I was wondering, do I build it around the product? Do I build it around the business opportunity? Do I do a little bit of both? Do I kind of see who I find and what their interest is? And so I was kind of confused about how to do that. Of course, Danny was building it very much on the product, because he had this incredible health testimonial. I did not have that. I could rely on his to a certain extent, but I was kind of building the business in different ways. And, you know, some people choose to build it on the product, and some people choose to build it on the business opportunity. And I want to speak to that, because it might help you in your own journey as you move, you know, towards where you want to be with your ASEA business. Of course, the big key with building a business like ASEA, and if I was sitting down with you one-on-one, the first question I would ask you, because I assume you're all involved with ASEA right now, is what is it you want from your ASEA business? What is your dream? What's your vision for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from your ASEA business? Tell me how you visualize your future in 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. What sort of lifestyle are you wanting to have? What sort of income are you looking to have? And of course, once I know that, then I can bring it back to a rank that you would then need to accomplish in order to be able to do that. But we must have targets. When we build a business like this, we have to know what the end result is. We have to know our point B, if you like. So your point B is your destination. It's where you want. And then you reverse engineer it. You bring it back to today. And then you can say, okay, this is when I need to get to bronze. This is how long I've got to get to the rank that you want, whether it's diamond, whether it's triple diamond, whether it's ambassador, whether it's presidential. You reverse engineer that. You can only do that when you know what your point B is. One other thing I want to help you with is with that point B, it needs to have a lot of emotion. You know, my big emotional dream was to be free, totally financially free. Now, I knew exactly what that meant. Some people say, I want to be financially free. I said, tell me what that means. Because people really don't know what it means. I was very clear on what that meant. For me, financial freedom was earning 27,500 Australian dollars a month. I had a time frame on it. I knew how many people I needed to enroll personally. I knew how many people I needed to have in my left line and my right line. I knew all the statistics. I knew everything that I needed to do to make that happen. By the time I had made that goal, that dream, if you like, it was early 2017. I was a floppy gold. I was in and out of gold. So I'd been in the business probably almost a year. In fact, it was a year. It was kind of like January 2017, excuse me. And I was kind of in and out of gold qualification. Some weeks I'd hit, some weeks I wouldn't hit. And I started planning and really thinking about, what am I doing here? What is my dream? What is my big dream? It was difficult for me to look at that in the early stages because I didn't have the confidence that I could accomplish that. So my dreams were very small, very little stepping stone dreams. You know, I had things down on my list like, I need a new suit. I want a new suit, a new pair of sunglasses. Very little dreams. But by the early part of 2017, I had done enough work on myself to believe, okay, I think I can push through here. I think I can get to a rank where I can achieve my biggest dream, my biggest desire, which was financial freedom. Well, by this stage, my standing charges, my monthly commitments, you know, in terms of my rent and food for the boys and fuel and electricity and everything, was $7,500. And in my mind, I thought, well, if I have 20,000 Australian dollars above that every single month, I'm free. I'm totally financially free. And then I can live my life and do what I want without the burden of having to worry about money again. So in the early part of 2017 and again through 2016, I'd been building it on the product. I'd been building it on the business. I was vacillating between the two, which is probably why my growth was not as fast as I had wanted it to be or expected it to be. It was kind of vacillating. And today, if I see somebody who's seriously unwell, I will, of course, have a product conversation with them. Of course, I'm going to do that. But in 2017, I did a course with a gentleman. He was an American man. It was like a 6-week or 8-week course. I paid $5,000 to do that course. It was everything that I had in the bank, actually, at that time. I invested in that course, invested in me so that I could, you know, help myself on my journey to get to the point of freedom, which I also equated to triple diamond. That figure that I mentioned to you was to rank to triple diamond. So I knew that. I knew what I needed to do, but I was still, you know, vacillating between building the business and bringing on customers. And one of the comments this gentleman made, he said, and just please take this in context. This was at the beginning of 2017. One of the comments he made, there was about probably 20 people that were doing this training course with him. He said, the problem with you ASEA people, he said, you're all too nice. He said, you're all trying to save the world with your product. He said, it's a business. Treat it like a business and it will reward you like a business. And so in that moment, there was a lot of other things he taught, but most of which I already knew. But that one statement kind of liberated me, if you like, liberated my thinking to look at this as a business, treat it like a business, the way I had built my other previous businesses, because ASEA was my third company that I was with. And he liberated me to think about the business totally differently. Now, I don't ever tell people how to build a business. How you build your business is up to you. Your dreams are yours. They're personal to you. Your timing is yours. So I never, ever tell people how to build a business. So what I'm going to share with you in the next little part, please take out of this what you want to take out. I'm talking about, for me, what worked for me, what I noticed in me, and what literally within months started to explode my organization. So to put that in context, at the beginning of the year, I was a floppy gold. By the time September came, in September, I reached diamond. So I think around June or July, I made platinum. In September, I reached diamond. And within 5 weeks, I went diamond, double diamond, triple diamond in 5 weeks. So I started to build the business differently at the beginning of 2017, and my business just started to explode. So here's what I share with people. And of course, you're free to choose how you build your organization. But this is what I share with people, is that there are two ways to build an ASEA business. And I've watched this, and I've watched people in my own organization and in other organizations over 9.5 years. If you choose to build it solely on the product, then you will have a lot of customers. You will likely struggle to have a lot of direct to 300s. And in fact, when I look in somebody's back office, I can tell how they're building the business, because if there's quite a lot of volume, but there's no D300s, no director 300s, it means they're having a lot of product conversations. They're building it on the product. When you build it on the product alone and you get customers, you recruit customers, mathematically, you're getting an addition process. You get +1, +1. Then you have to find somebody else, +1, +1, +1. And it's a much slower way of building the business. And it's more like a sales job rather than building organizations or building leaders or building people. It's more to do with finding customers, and you get the addition. And it's really, in my opinion, more like a sales job. Now, in 9.5 years, I have watched many people that have built the business like that. And of course, they're free to do that. After a while, they get tired doing that. I've noticed, I've watched them, they get tired, because doing that all of the time can be tiring. And after years and years and years of doing that, it's tiring. The second way of building the business is to find leaders, to attract, find, look for key people. And people say, well, how do you do that? It's in the questions that you ask. There's a great saying, questions are the answers. If I'm asking people about their health, about their wellness, do they know anybody that's seriously unwell? Do they know anybody that's got a serious illness? Do you have a serious illness? Or do you have a friend or family member that's got a serious illness? When I'm asking questions about health and wellness, I'm likely going to get a customer. So my questions are you open to looking at other income opportunities? Do you ever look at other ways of creating legacy income? Have you ever looked and considered a way of being able to create a residual income, a passive income? Have you ever looked for an exit strategy? Have you ever looked to be able to change your life, your lifestyle, to be able to do things that you've never been able to do before, maybe because your income isn't enough? So I'm asking questions and probing to find out. I'm looking for somebody who's looking for an opportunity. I'm looking for an entrepreneur. I'm looking for a business owner. And what I've learned in my own journey is that I will attract who I am. I haven't got time on this webinar to go through it, but it's to do with your energy. It's to do with the vibration. So attracting who I am. So if my vibration's high, I'm going to attract people on a higher frequency, a higher vibration. So I changed my modus operandi, my method of operation, in the early part of 2017, and started looking actively for business builders, looking for entrepreneurs, looking for visionaries, looking for people like me that wanted another chance, looking for people like me who didn't have the capital to build a traditional business, but wanted to find an exit strategy. When you find leaders, when you find visionaries, when you find entrepreneurs, you get a multiplication. And some of these leaders I have in my own organization have brought tens of thousands of people into their organizations. Building it as a custom, building it on customers, it's slow. When you find leaders, when you find visionaries, it multiplies. You get a multiplier effect, and the business grows much, much faster. And I watched this in front of my eyes. Now, it took about 3 months for that to happen, because the changes need to occur in me first. And as the changes started occurring to me, I started attracting more and more leaders, which is why towards the latter part of 2017, I had multiple leaders firing. I had a lot of golds coming through. I had platinums coming through. I had other diamonds coming through. So I had multiple leaders, multiple builders coming through at the same time, and my business just started to explode. Now, my business kept exploding. It went way through triple diamond. It just blew out. It went through triple. I'm not complaining about this. I'm very excited about this. One of the reasons that happened, interestingly enough, I want to share this with you, is that prior to my starting with ASEA, I mentioned that I had a lot of financial issues. I had friends of mine who had paid big bills that I had that I couldn't pay. One of my dear friends, he paid my bill to the tax department. He paid it without my knowledge. It was $25,000 he paid to the tax department. I had done a property development with my best friend and his wife, and they had mortgaged their house to $50,000, which I was partially responsible for, or it might have been $100,000. I was responsible for $50,000. So when I started making money with ASEA in 2016 and 2017, most of the money that was coming in was going straight out to pay my friends back. So that took me like 18 months to pay everything back. So I wasn't seeing any result of the increased income, even though I could see it. It was coming in as fast as it was coming in, it was going out. But everybody who I owed money to, everybody, and I vowed at that stage I would never do debt again. I don't have any debt today. I'm completely debt free. I don't like debt. I probably should have debt. People tell me good debt's good, but I'm so debt averse. I don't owe anybody anything. But I think that's one of the reasons that I kept pushing on, was because I wasn't seeing the result of any money. So I pushed straight on through. And then in February of 2018, I was ambassador, and within 9 months or a year, it was up to ambassador double diamond and ambassador triple diamond. And the business was on the J curve, and it just kept going. And I was super excited. But I watched visibly the difference between building it on the product and building it on the business opportunity, and looking for my entrepreneurs, looking for my leaders. Many years ago, when I was a little boy, when we were emigrating to Australia, my parents, my father in England, before we left, he had a potato chip company, Potato Crisps, and a very good friend of his, I'm sure you know them, a gentleman called Herman Lay. Well, the company's called Lay's Potato Chips. I think you have those in Malaysia as well. So when we were emigrating, my sister and I went to stay at his home in Dallas, Texas, and this was like in early 1968, like February 1968. We went to stay at his house. I'd never seen anything like it. We were picked up at the airport in a black stretch limo. I mean, I'd never been in a limo in my life before, just me and my sister in a black limo. And we went to his home, and I remember his homes had, huge columns out the front and beautiful swimming pool. But I think the thing that impressed me most was in his house, he had one of those, soda fountains where you put your glass up, you get 7-Up, you get Pepsi Cola, you get, I think, root beer. And because he was also a director of Pepsi Cola, whilst he was the founder and principal shareholder in Frito-Lay, or in Lay's potato chips, he was also director of Pepsi Cola and director of an airline that's now gone called Braniff Airways. And I remember sitting with him at breakfast. I think I was like 11 or 12, something like that. And I remember sitting with him at breakfast, and he was such a lovely human being. He was very much like Verdis Norton. Those two men were two of the most significant human beings that I've ever met, not just because of their business prowess, but because of who they were. If you know anything about Verdis, he could so easily have sold this technology. He had a huge offer, but because of who he was, he wanted to pass the gift forward so people like me and people like you could create their own legacies for their children and their grandchildren. He was already a wealthy man. But when I sat down with Herman Lay, I asked him this question. I said, excuse me, Mr. Lay, do you mind if I ask you, how come you've been so successful in business? And he was such a kind man. He was very complimentary. He said, that's a really good question, young man. He said, it's a very good question. It made me feel really good that he was so complimentary. He was this man who was worth a lot of money. He passed away in 1976, worth $760 million. Imagine what that is in today's dollars, many, many billions of dollars. But other than the money, it was who he was, because the money flowed through him. He was such a nice human being. And he said, I think the reason that I've done so well in business is that I've been able to attract the very best people to me, the best sales director, the best marketing director, best finance director. He said, I think I've been able to attract the very best people. And I didn't really understand as a 12-year-old what that entailed, what that meant, other than, well, you've got a very good selection process. But what I now know is that you and I will attract who we are. We attract who we are. We attract people who are like us. We attract our tribe. If you operate on a very low frequency, you're going to attract people like that. If you operate on a very high frequency, where you're full of excitement, full of passion, full of belief, full of energy about what we do, about the business opportunity, about the potential that we have in this opportunity, the gift that we have in this opportunity, then you will attract people like that. And that's what he meant. I didn't really understand. I understand that now, that he attracted the best people because he was the best people. He was such a good man. He was a very humble man, a great man, started from nothing. I'll share the story with you very briefly about how he got his start. He was actually, when he started as a little boy, he used to sell peanuts at the baseball games and the football games. You know, he had the tray in front of him and go around selling peanuts. He'd never had any money. He came from a very humble background. After that, when he left school, he became a truck driver. Around Dallas, he became a truck driver. And he forged very good relationships. One I remember was with the service station where he would buy his fuel for his truck. That was one of them. He told me some of the, or somebody told me some of the others, but that was one that I remember. Well, in 1930 or 29 or something like that, I think it was during the Depression years, there was a business that came up for sale, and it was a potato chip company, and it came up for sale, and it was on the market. I think Herman needed $100,000 back in those days. He didn't have that kind of money, but he found 10 people who backed him. One of them was the service station owner, who put in $10,000 because he backed the man. He backed Herman Lay. Within 5 years of that, that man, the service station man, his $10,000 was worth $1 million. I mean, great success story, incredible success story. Well, you know that Frito-Lay or Lay's potato chips is a global empire now, still going today, and just an incredible testimonial to the man, who he was as a human being. But everything for him was about relationship. The man who invested in the man, not the business. The business was Herman. Your business is you. My business is me. People are going to be drawn to you. They're going to be drawn to your vision. They're going to be drawn to your belief. You know, Melissa, you've changed your vibration in the last 6-9 months. I've watched it in terms of your business. So something in you shifted. And we can all do that. We can all change. We can all shift, which is why I'm such an advocate of personal development. You know, your ability to learn and to read and to grow and develop. And the late Jim Rohn used to coach, didn't he? That if you want more, become more. Your income is a manifestation of who you are and the value that you give to other people. The more value that you give to other people and being able to coach them and help them. And our business is really about people. People move products. Products don't move people. Yes, we have an incredible technology. I know that. Yes, we have a unique technology. I know that. Yes, we have a patented technology. Yes, we own the space. I know that. But people move product. People build organizations. People develop the business. And most of what you and I do is grow people, is develop people, grow people, help them with their belief, help them with their vision, help them with their dream, help them to believe in themselves, grow people. Vertis said that. He said, this is really what we really do here, is help and grow and develop people. That's really the essence of our business. I've probably gone on too long because I've got to have a hard stop in 5 minutes. But if there's any questions, if anybody's got any questions, please just don't make them too difficult, because it's still only like 6:45 in the morning, 6:40 in the morning. So
we still have 5 minutes with Malcom.
5 minutes. So if anybody has any questions, I sort of wanted to leave a bit more time, but I kind of went on a little bit.
Yep.
Right.
Do you have any question on the floor? Like, you can just turn on your mic and ask questions.
Yes, I have. Hi, Malcolm. This is
Good
Christy.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to know what daily habits or routine were non-negotiable for you on the way to the top.
So it's a good question. The non-negotiable habits were for me. Everybody else could set their own non-negotiable habits. But for me, I had my own non-negotiable habits. When you lead an organization, a lot of people think that we have a responsibility to lead everybody else. My responsibility is always to lead me, and then people will either follow or they won't follow. So my daily habits my non-negotiables were to listen to an audible every single day. And I would do that generally between half an hour and 1 hour every single day. So I knew, as I mentioned earlier on, I was the problem. So I knew that my growth back would depend on, changing the most valuable real estate in the world. I knew that. So my non-negotiable, that was one of my non-negotiables. One of my other non-negotiables, which wasn't really a daily basis, but it was a weekly basis, was to contact X number of people personally every single week. So I would run 2 phone sessions for an hour and a quarter just for me, just reaching out for new personals. So I've watched in building businesses like this over the years, one of the keys building a business like this is the foundation that you create. So if you look out your windows in Kuala Lumpur, I'm going to assume most of you can look out a window and you're going to see a skyscraper. You're going to see a very tall building. So where is the most important part of that structure? In the foundation. Weak foundation, likely you get a shake, it's going to fall over. It's exactly the same with our business, is the foundation. So I knew that. So I became aware, very cognizant that my growth was going to be very much dependent on the foundation that I built, which was to keep a steady flow of personals coming in. I also worked on my my habits. I worked on improving myself, improving my communication skills. So I worked a lot on me, especially in those early years. I did that a lot, but I was very disciplined in making personal phone calls, and then I became very disciplined in making phone calls for other people. I became very disciplined in doing meetings. So often I would be doing a lot of, one-on-one meetings and then group meetings as well. But mostly the skill set or the habits were for me. Then I could coach that to other people. This is what I do. These are the habits that I've created. So I don't expect anybody to do what I haven't done. So I kind of say to people, if you're crossing a minefield, with landmines, it's a very good idea to follow somebody's footprints across the minefield. So you can follow in Melissa's footprints. You can follow in BK's footprints. You can follow in other people's footprints to see what have they done? How have they accomplished that success? And I've encouraged people, walk in my footprints. Have I done everything right? No, you don't need to do everything right. This is never a perfect science. Have I been the best sponsor? Some people would say yes, some people would say no, but I've done the best that I could at the time whilst I was growing, and I'm still growing. I'm still, wanting to elevate my rank, probably just like you are. So we're always growing. I know some people want to get to a state where they don't grow anymore, but I was taught years ago that we're just like trees in nature. A tree is either growing or it's dying.
Yes.
A tree never goes, well, I think that's enough for me right now, I'm going to stop. Well, then he dies. Then the tree dies. He starts to go backwards. So we're exactly the same. Our journey is ongoing. Our journey is about personal growth and personal development. But those are some of the key habits that I had developed. And I set very good goals. I set very good markers. And I also had rewards as I was going, especially in the early stages. So I would have certain rewards for sponsoring people. I have certain rewards for rank advancing. Get the director 300, little reward. Get the director 700, little reward. Get the bronze, little reward, little reward. I would reward the inner child whilst I was leading up to my bigger dream, because sometimes I've watched people have a very big dream and they get discouraged on it because they don't reward themselves for the lesser dream, for the smaller goals. So have rewards all the way through. Every little step, reward yourself, because we have to reward the inner child to keep us going.
Right. Thank you very much, Malcolm.
Pleasure. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you have. Thank you.
Thank you. I've probably got time for one more question, if there's one more question.
Okay. Anyone have any more questions? Tong, you have questions? No?
I have second question if no one asks. Okay.
Squeaky door gets the oil.
Yeah.
The squeaky door gets the oil.
Oh, okay. What's the biggest mistake you see in new associate made?
There's a few. The number one mistake I've watched in people in the industry in the 33 years is lack of consistency.
Okay.
A lack of consistency of effort. People give up too soon. They give up too quickly, because here's what happens. And I understand this. I've been through this many times. When they start, they don't always get the results that they think they're going to get, or maybe they hope they're going to get, and they get discouraged and they think I'm doing something wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. We have to learn. You have to learn how to build this. This is a craft. For you to go from zero to $100,000 or $200,000 a year, it's going to take more than a week. So the number one mistake I've watched people in the early stages is they give up too soon, they give up too quickly, which is why the books are so important, because the books will speak to your mind. They also lose clarity on their dream. So if I know what your dream is, when it gets difficult to you, I'm going to take you back to your dream and say, what else are you going to do? How else are you going to get your dream? And then you'll say, I've got no other way. I had no other way of getting my dreams. I had no other way. So every time it got difficult, I'd go back to the reason I was building the business and rely on my dream. It's why the dream is so important, because everything has a yin and yang. You're going to have a dream, and the opposite of dream is fear. And we're all scared. We're all scared. You know, I mean, you're going to deal with a lot of rejection. I mean, I'm not a masochist. It's not like I like rejection. I understand that the process is that I'm going to deal with a lot of no's. It doesn't change my business when I get no's. It just, you know, I just have to realize that's part of what I do. It's no problem. They're not saying no to me, they're saying no to an opportunity. And not everybody's a prospect for me. Not everybody's a prospect. I think people in their early stages, I think everybody's a prospect. They're not. Your role, my role, is to simply search, sift and sort. Who is a prospect? Because I know out there somewhere, if I'm looking for them, they're looking for me. So I think a lot of people expect or think that everybody's going to become a prospect and going to get in the business. That's not correct. So what helps us deal with the rejection and the people that say no is when I'm very clear on my dream, my emotional driver, very clear on that. So when it gets difficult, I go back and rely on my dream to help me realize this is why I'm going to push through, because I am going to be free. I am going to become financially independent. I am going to make that rank. I am going to get that income. I am going to get that lifestyle. So it's very important to establish that. I do that with people so that when they do struggle, I take them back to their dream. This is why you're doing it. This is just part of the growth. You know, it's part of the personal growth. We all go through growth. We all go through development. It's why when you compact a 40-year work plan that most people go on down to 2, 3, 4 years, it's going to take some change. It's going to take some growth. You know, is it easy? It's not easy. It's simple. The process is simple, but never easy. But it demands of us to become more, demands of us to learn, to grow, and to develop, and to become resilient to the no's. And the reason I share with the Audible books is that the Audible books will help you put on some armor. It's naive to think you're going to go into the battlefield and that the bullets aren't going to come at you. They are. But with the armor of belief and the armor of certainty, the armor of I know where I'm going, I believe in what I'm doing, I believe in the company, I believe in the technology, and more importantly, I believe in me, that when the bullets fly, I've got armor on and they fly off. I don't send my new people out in the battlefield, just go for it, because, you know, without help, they're not going to make it. They need me to help them, to guide them, to coach them, to inspire them, to teach them. I've been doing this for a long, long time. So I help people along the way. I coach a lot of people. I help a lot of people understand the process and to understand that it's important for them to grow and to put the armor on when they go out into the battlefield.
Right. So mistake is part of the process in everything you do. In everything you do. Yeah.
The biggest mistake I've watched over the years is that people they're just not consistent. You know, they go hot and cold, And the biggest way to build a business like this is unemotionally. You don't build it when you're super excited. You don't build it when you're you know, super low. You build it unemotionally. I just do the work. I just work the numbers. I rely on the numbers because the business is 100% predictable. So avoid the emotions of the mountaintop and avoid the emotion of the valley. I'm just going to build it. So I don't get euphoric when people get in, and I don't go and slash my wrist when people say no. I build it unemotional, neutral. I know what I've got to do. I know how many people. To be a diamond, I have to sponsor 50 people personally. That's it. I've got to do that. If I want to be a diamond, I've got to do that. Then I work on the time. If I want to be a double diamond, I'm going to sponsor 60 people. I want to be a triple diamond, I'll sponsor 70 people. You want to make $1 million a year, sponsor 100 people. The business is predictable. What's not predictable is the person. They can vacillate. And it's learning to even that emotion out so that avoid the highs and avoid the lows, because they're both imposters. Build it emotionally neutral. Build it just, okay, this is what I'm doing this week. This is how many people I'm going to contact this week, every week. And generally, it'll take you, once you get going, generally you'll start to see, when I start a new person and they say, right, especially if you're ready to get into a 90-day blitz right now, watch this. It'll be week 3 when you start to see the results. Week 1, you'll sow. Week 2, you'll sow. Week 3, you'll start some reaping. You'll start to see some results come through, maybe from the work you did in week 1 and 2. So people start a 90-day blitz, and by week 3, they're thinking, well, nobody's following me. I said, but it's week 3 when you'll start to see the results. So you sow and you sow and you sow. You never sow and reap in the same season. You know that. You don't sow today and reap today. You sow and you reap down the track. That's why farmers are very good at understanding a business like this. They understand the nature, the essence of sowing and reaping, that you don't sow in one day and reap in the same day. So when you're doing a 90-day blitz, remember it's week 3. That's when you're going to start seeing you sow and you sow and you sow and you sow and you sow, you sow and you sow and you sow. I mean, that'll help some of you that have never done a 90-day blitz. And it is the best way of building a business like this in 90-day bursts. And I can say that because I've done many of these over the years, and I've watched in my own business and other people's businesses. It's the best way to do it. You put your blinkers on like a horse, right? 90 days, and I'm in this. And the best book or the best way of understanding that is from a book by Eric Worre called Go Pro. You can go onto YouTube. Got a lot of videos on doing a 90-day blitz. It's the best way of building a business like this. Wow, I've kind of overstayed my welcome. I've got to get my little kids breakfast and get them. But so I apologize. I've got to scrub.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Malcolm.
Was delighted to meet you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Mel.
Thank you.
Bye, Mel. Thank you. So we are so happy to have Mel with us tonight. So are you having something in your mind? Let's plan it out. Let me know your goal and let me know how can I help you. You let me know. Yep. Don't.
From the conversation from Malcolm just now, right? So the first thing I need to set is a desire which I cannot die without.
Yes, your
So
dream.
that I can always fall back and refer for my motivation, right?
Correct.
How to do that?
How to do? How I know your dream?
Because all the dream can die.
How will I know your dream? Yeah, I know your dream. You mentioned to me before. So the dream have to be big enough, super big, and then it's emotional enough that you cannot compromise. This is me. I must make it. I have to make it. In when?
And your dreams must be selfish. Okay? You cannot your dream cannot be about family, about someone else. It must be a selfish dream. That means something that you want for yourself. Okay? That's what Mel always says. A lot of us, when we think about dreams, we set up something for family members, for our children, for our parents. Those dreams are good, but they should be subservient to your own very, very selfish master dream. Okay?
Example?
Like I want to buy a private jet.
I can die without that.
Or I want to go to a holiday alone. Something like that. Or I want to buy a set of very nice skincare or a Rolex watch for myself. Something like that.
Yeah, we always need this question seems to be very simple, but it's not very easy to answer. What do you want?
I think sometimes it's also depends on whether you have been through a very rough patch.
Yeah.
So Malcolm and I have something similar. We have both hit rock bottom before. So when you hit rock bottom, you know what it's like to have literally no money in the pocket. That you even when you walk past a store to want to buy something to eat, you got to think 2-3 times.
Yeah.
Okay? So when you have something like that before, then you don't want to live with that anymore. Okay? So you want to have the ability to financially afford the things that you want to afford at the time when you want to afford, at the ability that you can afford. That means you want to have options. You don't want to have no options anymore. Okay? So you got to think about such things for yourself. Of course, I don't wish for everyone or anyone to have that kind of situation in life, but sometimes because we went through something like that, it's actually very useful. So for you, if you have not been through it, and I of course don't wish it on you.
I'm in the midst of like that because I have lots of medical commitment for my girl. Also, I'm quite scared. So now is the time.
So you got to dig into this and ask yourself, what do you want to be free of? Okay, that means freedom for you. What does it look like? What does it look like? Is it how much money? How much money will give you the lack of the removing of the fear totally for you? That means no more fear, no more worries, options plentiful, you have choices. That's what you need to set for yourself. And that is a very selfish goal. Okay? I know mothers tend to have a bit of difficulty doing that because whenever you think about your child first. But remember the airplane principle. Put on the gas mask, oxygen mask on yourself first, then you can take care of your children. Okay? So always remember that. Always remember that. Think about yourself first. It's not a selfish thing to do, it's the right thing to do. Because if you collapse, then you cannot look after your family at all. So you have to be strong. You have to survive. You have to make it. Then you can help other people. Okay? And like what Mel was saying just now, I mean the honest truth is that because of the way he built his business, today he can help a lot more people. You understand? Because he got strong, he has the ability to help a lot more people. By running this promotion for the team, it's not everybody does it, but Mel does it because he has a good heart, he's a generous soul, and then he wants to help more people, right? And because he chose to be strong, right? And because he chose a selfish goal. Now for him, initially it was just 27,500 because he knows his daily expense at the time was 7,500, and he just added a 20,000 on top of it so that you have buffer, right? You have buffer, then you have enough. So for every one of us, we kind of need to figure out what is the level of freedom we want. It could be a financial number, but if it's a financial number, you need to be very clear about what the number is, right? You need to tell yourself what is the number. Is it 50,000? Is it 50,000 ringgit? Is it 50,000 Aussie? Is it 50,000 American US dollar? When, how fast you need to do that. You must be very, very clear. And then it becomes a very strong dream for you, right? So that is what you need to do.
Thank you.
So do you need help on building up your dreams?
I got this video done I sent a few times into the group before. So this is just for you to play around with. It's about thinking about 100 things you want to buy for yourself. So you can take that as an exercise to start to build your dream. Okay? Just try and play around with that, then you may come about and think about something that's close to maybe formulating your dream. So the dream that you have, make it as big as you can. Make it as wild as you can. But then you have to break it down into step by step where you want to achieve next week, next month, next quarter, and then next year and so on. So you build up along the way. Okay?
What video is that? Just now you said?
I'll send it to you inside the group.
Oh, so I want to get the name of it.
No problem. I'll send to you on
Sophia would like to come into the group. There's a group of us. It's for builder information.
Yes, can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me add you
Thank you.
into the group.
Yeah.
Welcome to the
PK.
group, Sophia.
Thank you. Thank you, Christy. Thank you.
Sophia is from Penang.
Penang. Yes, I'm from
Oh,
Penang.
okay.
Yeah.
Hi.
But I'm a non-active member.
It's okay. All
Not
of us
yet.
start from there.
Yeah.
Come
not
active
yet.
together with me.
Yeah, let's get active
Yeah.
together.
PK, just now you said that set the goal and list down those desired things that we want.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, this is to satisfy our materialistic desire. Okay. So from what Malcolm shared just now, I something that he mentioned that impressed me a lot. He said that to build a business requires solid foundation. So and then he said that he has his plan, his way of to build the foundation, and he also emphasized something that I start to improve my communication skill. Okay, his something like his attire or whatsoever. That means he actually went through personal
Development.
yes.
Yes.
Yep. So I mean in my opinion that if we want to start something, firstly we need to understand our product well. So Mel, just now you said that you are much more focusing into business rather than products. But then for any newcomer like myself, okay, now that I can't even convince myself to drink, okay, because of I tend of still unable to accept.
awful taste, right?
Yes.
Everyone stay
Yeah.
with the awful taste. Okay.
Yeah. So even though I have drank almost one bottle and I still have that kind of awful feeling. So until that very morning that I feel like throwing up, then I told myself that, hey, I got to stop for a while. So I know that the products are good, okay, it helps. But then again, for me, that I couldn't convince myself yet. So how do I progress this business? So products, business, or whatsoever. So how? BK.
Okay, good question. It's a very common response from people, lah, okay? And the good news I can tell you is that whatever you feel about taking the product now, it actually improves over time. So you got to give yourself a little bit of time, okay? What I can suggest for you is even if you stop drinking the liquid first, because you think the taste is a bit not so kind to you, not so forgiving for you,
Yeah.
use the gel, apply liberally, because the gel actually still gets you balance. So once you get more balance because of using the gel, you can restart the liquid. Okay, then you find that it actually will be better, right? So you need to give your body time. That's number one. Okay, number one. Okay, and then it will happen for you for sure. Okay, everybody is like that. Everybody goes through a phase like this. That one is quite normal. So you just have to think of the benefit lah. Think of the benefit. You're helping your body to get better. So the fact that your body has this response, the body telling you that you actually want to get better. Okay, so listen to the body. But of course, like I said, if you find the drink really a bit difficult to drink now, stop the drink for a while, no problem. Then change to the gel, use it liberally, because the gel will still absorb and help you to be more balanced. Then as you become more balanced, the next time you restart the liquid, you actually will be better for you. Make sense?
Okay.
Okay. Now,
I'm actually
then,
applying the gel every night. Like
not enough. Not enough. Okay.
Not enough.
Because if you still drink and then you feel this, then it's definitely not enough for you. So I suggest you do it a little bit more. Give yourself more time to more amount and more frequency to absorb first. Okay. Now, then the other thing about Mel always like to say this, and I totally agree with him. He doesn't dictate as to whether you build your business based on product or based on business. Okay, he is simply sharing what he has observed over the 9.5 years he's been with ASEA. Okay, that if you do on a product approach, nothing wrong with that. It's just that you will become like a salesman job, and you will become tiring, and you likely will burn out over time. Whereas if you focus on a business approach, then you are looking for very resonant people of the same frequency as you, who want to build a better life and a better world for themselves, and then in turn actually helps to bring more people into the business and help more people faster. Okay, now he didn't share this story just now, but the other day when we had a session with him, he shared this story very interesting. There was this lady during the talk he gave, right? This lady came up to him and said that, Mel, you are so capitalistic, you are so materialistic, you are talking about money, money, money all the time, right? I want to help people, I want to focus on bringing products to people. So Mel was a bit taken aback, but he just calmly asked the person, how many people are you helping now? How many people in your team? She said, about a handful of people. At that time, Mel was just a goal. He already had 3,000 people in his team. So imagine whose impact is bigger. Who is helping more people? Someone who says that I want to help people first, or someone who is building a business properly, but actually impacting more than 3,000 over people, right? So that is the difference. So whether you choose whichever way is perfectly fine. Now, then if you are experienced in business, this is something that Alan Noble shared. Very interesting. Now, imagine our product today is just about self-signaling, helping people get better, helping the body get better. Okay? So we are helping that kind of product. But let's say today our product is a cancer cure. Right? Then if we are doing this business, are we going to tell ourselves, let me get cancer first and let the product work on me, then I go and try and tell to other people? Doesn't make sense, right? Right. So it's a good thing that our product today is simply a product that can help people's body function better. But it's not like it's not like a cure for cancer. Because if it's the cure for cancer, then you can tell people that you got to go and get cancer first, try the product, it works on you, then you go and tell other people. It doesn't make sense, no? You know what I mean? So the product works. You need to grow your belief in the product. A few ways you can do this. One of the ways is go and read up, go and watch a lot of the videos inside Real Redox Results. Let's say you spend like 1 or 2 videos a day, you'll be amazed after 30 days how many people have been helped and what kind of conditions have been helped. So you use their experience to build your confidence. Okay? There is no product in the world, there's no business in the world whereby the experience of one person dictates the outcome of the business. It cannot be, because one person is not a good enough test market. You must have a big test market. So don't let your own experience interfere with how the market is going to respond to the product. Right? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I can tell you because you are new, it's perfectly normal to think all these things. It's just that take it from us, we have been around for a while. We have seen a lot of people, right, that last ditch effort, they tried everything in the world, nothing worked for them. They are getting very good medical care, nothing worked for them until they tried combining it with what we have. And that changed their life completely. Now, when you experience something like this in your own business, and you will, the moment you start to share with people, you will experience this for yourself. I have, Mel has, Melissa has, all those people who have been in the business for a while, we all have stories like this of our own, not other people, of our own story. Like my good friend's little boy, he was so unwell, he was so sick, 4.5 years old, struggling to survive. His heart failed, his kidney failed. If not for this product, he will not be alive today. Now imagine if I did not share this with them, they would not have gotten this chance. Right? If you see, for me, I have no personal experience. No, I had no need to go and prove the product on myself because I wasn't unwell. Right? So if I had waited for myself to be well first or have the experience first, then this little boy may not be around today. You get what I mean? Right? So I know right now it feels like we are asking you to take a leap of faith, but my suggestion is go and take a look at the Real Redox Results. Every video inside is an amazing testimony. Go and listen to them. You will understand slowly, what are we talking about here? Very, 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 very quick one. Yeah. I hope that helps you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I did send Dan Doy's story in the group. and also Sophia, I send you personally. We all have a little story. Like me is boost up my metabolism. Then my skin is so nice right now. And Yenran is my university roommate, and she got very, very good testimonial experience on her daughter. So I think I more or less I will mention to all of you like her daughter case that helps a lot of people to understand, oh, this really works. Like Jared's story, like Yenran's daughter's story. Yenran would like to turn on your camera and mic, like share for a little bit. Yeah. Cannot hear you. Cannot hear you. I know you unmute, but we still cannot hear you. Maybe some mic issue or we see you are talking, but we cannot hear you. You are already unmute. Now can.
Now can.
Oh, okay. Hi. So Paula is well done. It's not well done, it's excellent. Perfect. Okay. I'm also getting better now. Much better because I having more dose right now. Because like I'm having 6 cups per day. So the skin is getting better.
Okay.
And then I slim down though because I want to be a better me first. So I
Yes.
try to slim down, and then I want to do more, and then I do the face, that means face mask daily. So it's much getting better. So it's very big impact for myself right now. Then,
You mean to say that you have pigment and then you drank the water and the
no,
pigment
it's for
disappeared?
myself because I actually have a serious pimples when I'm a teenager. So actually my face is very like a moon surface. Serious,
Yeah.
moon surface. Now it's getting better. Now and then I actually is a very like Melissa shared with us, it's actually very hard for metabolism. Is very hard to slim down. So advised me to get 6 cups a day. So now I getting 6 cups a day. So I actually slim down a lot. Do some exercise now. Just
Yes.
well with this and then to slim down a lot. And then so now for myself lah, I feel it's very good. So for my daughter, definitely, my daughter is going through a very hard time when she was 1 years old, and now at 7 years old, is very healthy, and now it's really thank God. I have made I have Melissa good friends, and then introduced a good product for me, and that's really appreciate, really how to say,
Grateful.
yeah, grateful of it. And then for business one, I actually is learning because it's for me challenging for myself. I need to go through hard time, but go to a very basic. I have to learn myself first. I have to discover myself first. Start very basic because I can't jump over this stage. I very hard to go. Like I just not very agree to BKC. I have to be selfish first. If I'm not be selfish first, I always think about my daughter, my family, my husband, my career. So where am I? So I very just how I said, I very totally agree. But selfish person, this is the first task I need to learn. So if I be a better me, I have a better me, then people will see me. They will have to do the business with me, the career part with me. So this is the stage I'm learning right now. Yeah.
Yes,
Well done.
correct.
Run.
Yes.
Well
Well
done.
done. Well done.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
you look
thank you.
different.
Yeah.
Your skin is very
It's totally different already. I can see because I said, why things so complicated? Start with very beginning, myself first.
Yes.
That's why I totally very agree. Just like, wow, strong agree. Selfish first, very selfish first. Because I always think my daughter, my family, my husband, my everything. But where am I?
Yes.
we are
Correct.
always selfless.
Yes.
Selfless.
Actually, morning walk is very useful. Like you can spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes walk every morning. And during my walk, I do it like 1 hour, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. is my walking time. So I will play the audible book or any audible material. This morning, Malcom also sent me a video. Okay, this is BK's prepared for us in the group chat, Dreams to Dollar. So you can find it at the description, group description, and you can download the apps. Sophia, you can download the apps, and inside there's a lot of Audible book.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Penny. So let us know, like you can choose me, you can choose BK, whoever you would like to work with. Let us know how can we help you, how can we assist you. Instead of I come and chase you, because you may find it, I don't want to be disturbed, you know. And tomorrow, 11 o'clock, I will be in office. If Tong, you want to come, you let me know. I have an appointment 11 o'clock. And run everything. I look at you. You are so nice right now. So be a better you. That one is true. So just focus and consistent. Set your dreams. The 90 days bliss. You know how much you can earn from here. I don't. For the new one, you can earn an extra D300 bonus, which is 300 USD. Like Sophia, Tong, Ivy, Penny, and Daswin. You can earn the extra 300 USD. It's like 1,000 plus already in total. And inclusive, like if I think for company incentive is 1,000 USD, and Malcom incentive is 2,000 Aussie dollar. In total, it's almost 10,000. 10,000 extra for your, what is it? For your Christmas present. You would like to have it. So set your plan and let me know how can we assist you, how can we help you. Just now, Tong say, okay, you have issue on building up your dream. And maybe Ivy, you can talk to me as well. If you need to, you can choose me or you can choose BK. So we are happy to help. It's just like who you would like to work with. It's okay for us because we are a team. We are in a team. Oh, you can choose Christy as well. If Christy is not busy lah. And we will assist you how to have your game plan. Like Sophia, maybe you have because you are very new and you're a little bit far from me. If you need me, I can go and visit you. I'm okay and I'm happy to go Penang always. And it is not far. I can drive over. Let me know how can I help you to understand more, to experience more of this. If you think experience is very important. Like Renew Gel, I apply all over my body, my face, my neck, my armpit, my breast, my tummy, my butt, my backside, and my thighs and my feet, everywhere. And I can see the difference, especially those with rough skin, chicken skin, something like that, when you touch it. And this one can help like reduce in maybe 3 application or 1 week. You can definitely feel the difference already.
The white one, huh?
Yes, the white one.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
my nephew fall down from the bed, got all tan here, like blue back. So I apply Renew Gel between 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it's gone. It's gone and it's healed. This we really can help a lot of people. I bring along everywhere. Like my friend today coughing. So I just apply on your throat lah. It will help. So it's that simple, very simple. We just simply connect people, let them know this is a technology. Whether they want to use it or don't want to use it is up to them. Because our role is to be the messenger. And we want to connect to the real interested person. Okay, I don't want to drag you all because it's kind of late, 10:30. Time for bed for some of you. Just come to me if you need help. Just
Okay.
come to us if you need help. You can come to me, come to BK or anyone. We are in a team. So you can always come to us. let me know how can
Sure.
I help you. All right. Thank you so
Okay.
much. Thank you for attending.
Thank you.
Hope you all get
Good
something.
night.
Thank you, Mel, for
Good night.
arranging Malcolm
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Good
Yeah.
night.